Edd China didn't leave the show on good terms. He ended up doing some things that weren't right, and because of that, things didn't work out with the Discovery Channel. No one really expected it. One moment, Edd was happily pushing an old Porsche into the garage, rolling up his sleeves and smiling, ready to show everyone how to fix cars properly. Then, all of a sudden, he was gone from the show. There was no goodbye on screen, no final scene with Mike Brewer, no farewell laugh, just silence. Fans were left confused, staring at their TVs and wondering why the man in the big orange gloves had suddenly disappeared from Wheeler Dealers. So, what really happened behind the scenes? Some people think the show's budget was suddenly cut, and that made it hard to continue the way they used to. Others believe there was a serious disagreement between Edd and the producers, maybe even with Mike, that caused tension strong enough to break the team apart. In this story, we'll look at the rumors, go through the facts, and try to understand the real reason behind Edd China's exit. And there might be one small clue that gives us hope he could return one day. Let's go back to 2003. This was before YouTube was full of car repair videos. Two very different British men stepped in front of a camera and made car TV exciting again. Mike Brewer was the fast-talking wheeler dealer who knew how to find old, cheap cars and joke about turning them into profit. Edd China was the tall, calm mechanic in bright orange gloves, always ready to bring those junkyard cars back to life. He made fixing cars seem simple and fun. He'd take a part off the car, explain what it did, and show exactly how to repair it in a way that even young viewers could understand. It wasn't just about seeing the car before and after the repair. It was about watching Edd work, step by step. Whether it was a rusty brake caliper or a blown head gasket, he made it feel like a fun weekend project, not a reason to give up. Fans loved it. Letters came in from all over the world, from Brazil to Bahrain. People didn't just want more episodes, they wanted longer scenes of Edd fixing things in detail. By season 5, the show was airing in over 100 countries. By season 9, they had moved the whole production to sunny California. This new location gave them access to amazing American cars like Mustangs, DeLoreans, and Camaros. But moving also brought new problems. The schedule became tighter, the filming more rushed, and contracts became more complicated. At first, it looked like the dream setup. The workshop was massive, packed with high-end tools and classic cars. There was a huge budget for car parts, and everything seemed better. But behind the scenes, there were new rules and more pressure. The new network, Velocity, wanted more episodes in less time. The crew had to start working early in the morning and finish selling the car by evening. Meals were often just takeout because there was no time to stop. Even though the shop looked amazing, new car lifts, shiny tools, and muscle cars everywhere, the work had changed. Producers walked around with stopwatches, checking scripts and timing every scene. The creative freedom Edd once had was slowly being taken away. That's when the cracks started to appear. It became clear that the show was becoming more about speed and less about quality. And that change didn't sit well with Edd China. A brake job that used to take up 10 minutes of screen time was now shown in just 30 seconds. A full engine teardown was reduced to a few fast shots with a voiceover. Edd China felt this change right away. He loved teaching viewers how to fix cars, step by step. Every time the repair scenes were cut short, it felt to him like someone was tearing pages from a manual he had written. He asked the producers repeatedly for more time to show the actual repairs. He even begged. Mike Brewer, his co-host, tried to keep the peace. He had to manage both the business side, talking with sponsors, and the creative side, keeping Edd happy. But the gap between what the network wanted and what Edd believed in kept growing. On camera, they still joked and smiled, but between takes, the smiles didn't last long. Fans noticed the change. Online message boards were full of questions like, "Why is everything so rushed?" and "Where are the detailed fixes?" Viewers from Brazil to Birmingham missed the full repair walkthroughs that helped them fix cars at home. Even though ratings were still high, something important was slipping away from the show. Most nights, Edd stayed late after filming. He recorded extra close-up shots, hoping the editors would use them. But many of those scenes never made it into the final cut. He watched whole lessons, things that could help people learn, end up being thrown out. The pressure kept building. Everyone working on the show could feel that something was about to break. Then in March 2017, Edd posted a video that shook fans and the car community. On March 21st, a 6-minute clip appeared on Edd China's YouTube channel titled, "I'm leaving Wheeler Dealers." It wasn't clickbait or a joke. Edd sat at a simple desk, wearing his signature orange gloves, and looked straight into the camera. He spoke slowly and clearly. He said that the new producers wanted to shorten the repair scenes in the name of efficiency. Edd said he couldn't agree with that. In his words, a car show without real repairs isn't a car show at all. So, he decided to leave. In the video, he thanked the fans, praised Mike, and even wished the network good luck. But there was a clear message hidden in his calm voice. The heart of the show was being cut out. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Fans shared the video across forums, Facebook groups, and car blogs. By lunch, car news sites had picked up the story. By dinner, it was trending on Twitter. People were quoting Edd, sharing screenshots, and looking for hidden meaning in his words. Some fans praised Edd for standing up for what he believed in. Others questioned why Mike didn't do more to stop the changes. The video quickly hit over 1 million views, and then kept climbing. Reporters reached out to both Edd and Mike for statements. The network responded with a short message, saying the show would continue strong. But to fans, it felt hollow. Edd ended the video with a small smile, saying, "Keep making, keep fixing, and I'll see you soon." Then the screen faded to black. But the silence that followed was quickly filled with outrage. Mike Brewer got hit hardest by the backlash. Within hours of Edd's video, angry messages flooded social media. Some people called Mike a sellout who let the show lose its soul. Others sent much worse. There were threats, some even aimed at his teenage daughter. Mike was shocked and scared. He contacted the police, who opened a file and advised him to be careful. Later, he said the situation nearly broke him emotionally. Even Edd stepped in, asking fans to stop attacking Mike. He said clearly that no one should be threatening anyone. But once the internet catches fire, it's hard to stop. Sponsors began to worry. A major tire company pulled an ad deal. The network responded again with a longer statement, promising that Wheeler Dealers would evolve but still stay true to its roots. They also announced a new mechanic, Edd Anstead. Edd was known for being funny, fast, and skilled. Some fans were excited to see someone new. Others were furious, calling him replaceable, and swearing they'd never watch again. Still, many viewers held on to a bit of hope that maybe, someday, Edd and Mike would work together again. But for now it was clear, the split was real. Mike prepared for his first episode without Edd, and Edd Anstead was about to find out just how tough it was to fill Edd's shoes. As the dust settled, the cameras kept rolling, this time with a new face behind the tools. Edd Anstead, a former police officer turned car builder, stepped into the workshop. He smiled confidently and moved quickly with his tools. In the first episode, he worked on a bright blue Mustang. He broke it down, swapped the gearbox, and painted it fast, almost like decorating a cake. Viewers who liked fast action were impressed. But the longtime fans, the ones who liked to pause the show and take notes, weren't satisfied. They asked, "Where's the slow, detailed walkthrough?" Viewers started asking questions in the comments like, "How did he line up that clutch?" They were missing the step-by-step lessons that Edd China used to give. No matter how charming Edd Anstead was, it couldn't hide the fact that important parts of the repairs were missing. Edd tried to fix this. In between filming, he recorded extra side videos where he explained the harder jobs in more detail. Some of those clips made it to YouTube, but most just stayed saved on a hard drive, never seen by the fans. The show's ratings stayed strong, but the fan base was divided. Some people enjoyed the faster, more action-packed style. Others still missed the heart of the show, the patient, detailed repairs they had once learned from. Mike Brewer tried hard to keep things going. He praised Ant's skills, hinted at bigger and better car builds, and promised to bring back more depth to the episodes. But every post he made online seemed to get the same reply: "Bring back Edd." Ant tried to laugh it off. He joked that he was probably the most loved and hated mechanic on television. But behind the scenes, the pressure was real. It felt heavy, like lifting a V8 engine on a weak workbench. Still, they kept filming. Cars kept rolling into the workshop and rolling out again. They worked on a 240Z, a dusty old Ferrari, and even a military Humvee. Each one was fixed and sold for a profit on screen. The show was still a success by the numbers. But many fans still wondered, could it ever feel the same again? While Mike and Ant worked under the spotlight, Edd China quietly disappeared from public view. He spent most of his time in a peaceful workshop somewhere in the English countryside. For about 4 years, he stayed mostly silent, only showing up now and then at car shows or charity events. Fans kept asking, where did Edd go? In 2021, they finally got their answer. Edd returned with a brand new YouTube series called Edd China's Workshop Diaries. The first episode came out on a Friday evening. It had no fancy effects, no big TV introduction, just Edd, a kettle boiling in the background, and an old Range Rover waiting to be fixed. Edd welcomed viewers like old friends. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. There were no fast edits or rushed scenes. Every bolt was removed in real time. Every worn-out part got a close-up, and Edd took time to explain what was wrong and how to fix it. When a job needed more explanation, he'd even stop to draw simple diagrams on a whiteboard. It felt just like the early days of Wheeler Dealers, only this time it was slower, deeper, and completely controlled by Edd himself. As the series continued, the projects became more creative. One week, Edd rebuilt a 1960s milk float and turned it into an electric vehicle. Another week, he fixed up his old record-setting motorized sofa, the same one that once raced down London streets. Fans loved it. The comments were full of people saying things like, "I can finally see the whole job again." By the time he released his 10th video, Edd's channel had already passed 500,000 subscribers. The series was supported by YouTube ads, loyal Patreon supporters, and the occasional sale of fun merch like big hands, small garage t-shirts. Without a TV network telling him what to do, Edd could work at his own pace. Some months, he posted a new episode every Friday. Other times, he'd take a break to look for rare parts or attend engineering events. No one complained. They knew the next video would be worth the wait. Sponsors started reaching out to him, but Edd only accepted ones that made products he already used. He once joked, "If it isn't in my toolbox, it isn't in the show." Meanwhile, Wheeler Dealers continued to change. Ant Anstead left the show in 2020 to return to the UK for personal and family reasons. The network then brought in Mark "Elvis" Priestley, a former Formula One mechanic from McLaren. He came in with sharp skills, a relaxed attitude, and a laugh that made him feel approachable. The show continued filming with him by Mike's side. By 2021, Wheeler Dealers had moved into a new workshop in Britain. The ratings stayed strong, but many fans still compared every fast repair and slow-motion weld to the detailed tutorials Edd China used to give. It was clear that the two former co-hosts had taken different paths. Edd was now teaching at his own pace through YouTube, while Mike Brewer continued leading a faster, more polished TV show. Still, whispers of a reunion never fully went away. On forums and fan pages, people kept asking, would they ever work together again? Mike often responded with a simple, never say never. Edd would usually smile and change the subject. By 2024, both men seemed content in their own lanes, yet the question remained, would either of them want to close the gap, or were they happier going their separate ways? Then, in 2023, something unexpected happened. A small car blog posted one sentence that sent fans into a frenzy. Sources say Edd China may guest star in a future Wheeler Dealers special. There were no details, no date, no episode title, but it was enough to get the internet buzzing. Reddit threads exploded with theories. Some fans claimed they had seen Edd having lunch with a motor trend producer at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. Others said Edd and Mike were secretly planning a charity car build to celebrate Wheeler Dealer's 25th anniversary. Neither Edd nor Mike denied any of it. When Mike was asked about it on a podcast, he laughed and said, "Never say never. My phone still works." Not long after, Edd did a live stream from his workshop. Someone in the chat asked, "Would you ever go back to Wheeler Dealers?" Edd paused, smiled, and replied, "Only if we can show every nut and bolt." It wasn't a yes, but it also wasn't a no. And that was all fans needed to keep the dream alive. More rumors followed. One story claimed the BBC was considering both Edd and Mike for a new show about converting classic cars to electric. Another rumor said Discovery had pitched a global road trip, 10 classic cars, 10 countries, and one last handshake. Most of these stories faded out when plans changed or budgets didn't come through. But the buzz never died. By late 2024, there were even more signs that the two old friends might be reconnecting. At the NEC Classic Motor Show, Mike and Edd spoke on the same day for the first time in 7 years. They were on different panels but bumped into each other backstage. Someone took a photo of them smiling together, and Twitter lit up. A month later, Mike tweeted Edd a public birthday message. "Have a great one, mate. Hope to share a brew soon." Edd liked the post and replied with a thumbs up emoji. For longtime fans, these small gestures felt like hope. Like oil on a rusty hinge. Away from all the excitement, both men continued doing what they loved. Edd explored the idea of alternative fuels and tested a hydrogen-powered taxi, hinting it might be his next big project. Mike finished filming the show's 20th season and teased what he called the biggest profit we've ever made. But in every interview, no matter what they were promoting, they were asked the same question. Will you two ever team up again? And each time, they answered with a smile and a shrug, leaving the door open, just a little. That open door became something special for fans. As long as no one officially said, never, the hope stayed alive. And so did all the endless theories and guesses posted on fan forums and YouTube comment sections. Maybe they'll reunite next year. Maybe in 10 years. Or maybe never. But one thing is clear, the story of Edd China and Mike Brewer isn't over yet. It's just sitting still for now, engine running, waiting for the next green light. Over more than 20 years, Wheeler Dealers became more than just a show about fixing old cars. It sparked a much bigger question. How much of the real stuff can you cut before a show loses its heart? In the early days, every scraped knuckle and rusty bolt felt real. There were no fancy edits hiding mistakes. No pressure from advertisers to move faster. Viewers learned right alongside Edd and Mike. They tried to fix their own cars. Sometimes they failed. But when things finally worked, it felt like a shared win. When Edd left in 2017, it proved something important. Staying honest sometimes comes at a cost. Edd chose his values over a steady job. He gave up a major TV role for the freedom to teach car repairs his way. Mike stayed with the show, carrying the pressure of keeping dozens of people employed and making sure the show survived globally. Both choices took real courage. Both came with sacrifices. What's most interesting is how the fans responded. Instead of turning away, they followed both paths. Some stuck with Mike, enjoying the faster flips and new faces. Others found comfort in Edd's slower, deeper videos. And that shows us something very simple but powerful. When creators share real passion, people will find them, no matter what platform they're on. So, will Mike and Edd ever shake hands again on camera? Maybe. History has shown us that, in the world of television, anything is possible. And money, as always, talks. But trust speaks louder than money. If the day ever comes when both men feel the balance is right, enough screen time to show every nut and bolt, and enough respect for every budget sheet, then maybe, just maybe, those bright workshop lamps could flick on again. Until then, two versions of the same dream keep rolling forward. One is chasing profit in prime time. The other is chasing perfection, one long video at a time. And that leaves one final question sitting neatly on your driveway. Which path would you tune in for? Fast-paced flips? Step-by-step guides? Or a rare fusion of both? Because the next twist in this story might depend on what you choose to watch next. From a small London garage to studios around the world, Edd China and Mike Brewer proved that old metal and elbow grease can spark big dreams. Their split showed something deeper, that passion and profit don't always ride in the same lane. Yet both roads still lead to great stories. One told in quick cuts on TV, the other in long, patient lessons online. Maybe those roads will cross again. Maybe they're better apart. In the end, it might come down to which path fans cheer for the loudest. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments.